Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Wobbly Geek is here to present to you the possibly worst written episode of Doctor Who in history. I am the Wobbly Geek. Chris Chibnall needs to never ever write a single piece of media ever again, and Jodie Whittaker still can't act after 3.5 years as the Doctor. Here we go. Right then, boys and girls, member berries, they're here. They're here for all of us. All we're going to get is things that you remember from the 70s and 80s if you're old school Doctor Who fans. And oh my dear lord, Tegan and Ace. Oh, those are deep, deep cuts, kids. Deep cuts. Those aren't your parents' doctors, those are your grandparents' doctors. If you're a kid watching this show, you have no idea what's going on. And neither does anyone else. Chibnall cannot do this whatsoever. And all he's doing is cherry picking stuff from his own childhood and trying to make it relevant. I mean, dear God. Basic story composition, it can't be done. What do we do? My blood pressure, my heart, none of it's really gone well tonight. I've got to admit to you guys. Where do we start? We've been geopolitical by involving Russia. 1916 Russia. The master is Rasputin. Now, this is a bad choice because of the genocide and because of all the people that died in the Russian Revolution. And, you know, it's lazy to blame it on Rasputin. And I'm sorry, I love Sasha. Sasha is a fantastic master, but he has been completely let down by this lead weight of a script. Honestly, it's awful. The dialogue is cheesy, it's forced, it's labouring. Sasha's trying to do his best maniacal doctor, which he sort of did in The Timeless Child. I'd probably say that was the only saving grace of The Timeless Child, because it retconned everything and basically destroyed Doctor Who as we know it. And, you know, Russell T Davies, if you're listening tonight, you need to retcon this. Seriously. No genuine Doctor Who fan is ever going to accept that anybody other than William Hartnell was the first Doctor. But I'm trying to give some praise here before we go into the complete meltdown that was my reaction to all this. Like I say, Sasha Darwan, he's a fantastic master. I think he's better than John Sims. I think he's more of a character actor. I'd say I still prefer Michelle Gomez because she just balanced it enough to make it absolutely perfect. But here we are, we're in 1916 Russia, and the master is Rasputin. And I think that's just so we can get the madcap moments from Sasha and let him go loose and go crazy. Do the elements of his master that he does so well. And then we get big expedition dumps about metal planets, 2 TARDISes, and all this weird stuff to try and glue together nonsensical plot. Honestly, it was like it was written by a 3-year-old with crayons and no editor. The one thing I am blissfully hoping for is now that Chibnall is locked in a dark room never to be seen again. Don't bring him back as a guest writer or RTD. If you're going to do this, you write it. You and Steve. Do it properly. I don't mind Shooter being the next Doctor. I've watched Sex Education. He's a really solid character actor. And you've got to do something with it, mate. Take it back to good, solid form storytelling. Please. For the love of God, please do it. Because it needs something. It desperately, desperately needs coherency. Take it back to basics if you want. Make it about singular stories. You don't have to do vast mass arcs, although personally I liked them. That was the bit of Moffat's Doctor and Matt Smith's Doctor, who I consider my Doctor, being the best bit. I know it wasn't for a lot of people found it convoluted. Me personally, I loved it. I lapped that stuff up. But for this, for how damaged everything is, for how bad the lore has got, you need to take it back. Take it absolutely back to basics. It needs to be singular, fun, light-hearted stories that make some sense, that make some narrative sense. Use the guy that you've got. Use his personality, make things unique about him. Just do what you did with Tennant. Let's face it, he was the most popular Doctor. And I know Chibnall tried to make Jod-eh his version of Tennant, but he's not that good a writer, right? I'm going to be honest, I never wanted Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. I tried to give her a chance, and it just wasn't it, Chief. She's not the Doctor. She hasn't got the character chops. She hasn't got the acting prowess to do it. But I've got to be honest, so much of this and so many of the problems are not Jod-eh and not the actors around them, because we've seen it tonight with Sasha. Even when you've got good actors, if you've got Chibnall writing your stuff, you are buggered, because he can't just write something that makes good, solid narrative sense. The only thing he had that he wanted to tell tonight is that you can go back to see other Doctors. And you know something? It made me seethe. It made me so mad and annoyed, because they dared bring in David Bradley to play William Hartnell's Doctor, the person that they purposely retconned in The Timeless Children, so he wasn't the first Doctor anymore. They had the audacity to bring him into this episode, along with a few others, just so that we had all the right member berries for all the companions that they brought in from Chibnall's era. I get it. Actors like Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy and Peter Davidson aren't going to get much work anymore. This is what they get. They get hook-ons and they get this. So I completely get why they take the payday. Do it. I'm all for it. But to have spent 3.5 years dismantling this law and telling the fans that they're all toxic for not liking this substandard, brain-dead storytelling, than to give them the member berries later. No. No. We as fans are not dumb. And I want to know who this was written for. I want to know who this was made for. Because if this is a kid's show, you've brought in Doctors from so many decades ago that it's not even relevant. They won't have watched what we class as classic Who. They'll only know the stuff from sort of 2005 and onwards. So you've not done it for them. You've not done it for all the classic Who fans, because you drove them off by calling them racist and sexist and homophobic and all the other stuff that seems to have been lobbied at this fan base by a writer who needs a shield to defend his horrific writing, and by an organisation that just is so wrapped up in politics and its place in the world, so paranoid that it can't just tell a fun story anymore. There were so many bits of social commentary that were just. Doctor Who has always done social commentary. This is not what I'm arguing against, but it's the ham-fisted, mean-spirited, nasty sniping that it does. It sneers at its audience and just doesn't let up. And that's horrible for us as fans because all we want to do is love this stuff. I hate coming on here and criticising stuff. I'm going to talk to you later about doing a House of the Dragon series review because guess what? I actually liked that, but we'll get into that later. Anyway, let's keep where we're going. So we've been to Russia, we've been to London, we've been to Ecuador, and the Cybermen are back. And the Daleks, because we all know about the license issues and they need to be used once a year. So yay, the Daleks are back. Cybermen are here under the Master's command, and he's got this wonderful plan to burn the Earth and turn it into a Cybermen conversion centre, and it's all part of the plan for him to become the Doctor. Another member berry that we use as part of the plot device is force regenerations. Now, I may be wrong, maybe somebody in the chat or the comments can correct me here. Force regeneration was something that happened in Colin Baker's era, which is why I think he got a member berry here. So, the big plot is for the Master to force regeneration onto Dr. Jod-eh, and for him to become the Doctor. And you know what? I loved it. I love that bit. All the bits where Jodie wasn't there, clunkily plodding through her dialogue and trying to make it sound emotionally investable. Loved it. So then they send the Doctor back into her own memories, into her own mind. And they tell her that, her story isn't ended. She must carry on. They know a way to get her back. And she's been static in all her different companions for them to get hold of this interface that the TARDIS projects, so they could all see their version of the Doctor. And it's part of this whole convoluted plan to degenerate her back into Dr. Jod-eh. And to be honest, I didn't care. Did not care. The story just didn't hold it for me. I'm doing really vast strokes here because there's no reason for me to go into minute detail. Because the show didn't care, so why should I? And why should we as an audience? So, yeah, we do a forced degeneration and we get Jo Martin's Doctor. Now, we still don't know where she sits in the timeline or what her relevancy is. But in this, she was a convenient plot device to foil the Doctor, and yay, the day's saved. So then what? The Master crawls out of his TARDIS and says, if I can't be the Doctor, then you're not going to be the Doctor. And flash, bang! She's hit by some MacGuffin beam to trigger her regeneration. Yeah. And then she regenerates and tries to, have her last moments with Yaz, who is from Sheffield, by the way. The show needed to tell you 17 times. I'm from Sheffield. Tell you something there. She don't sound like she's from Sheffield. But here we go. We have our nice little moments with the Doctor and Yaz looking up at the galaxy and having an ice cream and sort of saying, I'll miss you and I'll miss you too. And if people aren't invested in this arc, I'm sorry. If it's for you, if it really touches you, then I can see this being a nice closing moment of that arc. Someone like me who's never really been invested in any of this, and it's not the actors' fault, it's the writers. I'm going to be honest and say it right here, it's the actors. Sorry, it's the writers. Even some of the greatest actors on earth cannot make a subpar script work. They just can't. And so none of this has had any impact. And it just falls so flat. I mean, bringing back 5 doctors. Sorry, no, at the end, 6. 6 doctors you brought back. That should have been massive. That should have been huge. But you gave it to Chibnall. And no, don't give it to Chibs. Give it to RTD. He knows what to do with moments like that. He knows the gravity. He knows the tone. He knows the structure. And that's what you should have done. But no, the BBC couldn't wait to give the triumphant leaving party of Chibnall and Jod-eh. They don't deserve it. We as an audience have been insulted and derided and suffered through this subpar garbage. There should have been a big apology to the fans, not a giant send-off and a congratulations. Jesus. So, plot twist, guys. We've been talking about degeneration and old doctors the whole way through. Shooty she didn't regenerate into Shooty this time. She regenerated into David Tennant. And before everyone goes, oh, that's amazing, I love this. And my wife did. My wife loves David Tennant. That's her favourite Doctor. It's nothing until we see a script. Absolutely nothing. David Tennant is a fantastic actor, but he needs good scripts. If anyone needs proof of this, then you go watch something like The Inside Man, which he's recently done for Dave Moffat. And it's awful. Sorry, for Stephen Moffat. But it's some of Steve's worst work. And it makes David look terrible. It makes him look hammy and pantomiming. So, I'm sorry guys, unless RTD has got some real good scripts ready, get ready for that 60th to bomb. And bomb hard. I mean, I hope RTD has brought this back with the best intentions. He wants to own it, right the ship, and give a big apology to us by giving us the things we want. Not just member berries from when we enjoyed Doctor Who, because that doesn't work. For the people that want to see Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, David Bradley, Peter Davidson, there's nothing for you in tonight's episodes. It's really weird and horrible. Because all it is member berries. Oh, we've got Ace. Oh, we've got Tegan. All this stuff in the 70s and 80s. Don't you remember this? Wasn't this great? Yeah, for those that remember it, it probably was. But the writing was better than yours, well, apart from probably Colin Baker's, but let's ignore that. Poor Colin, he never got a fair shake. But there's no. All it is member berries, and like I said, you need a structure and a purpose for these people to be here to give it the emotional impact with the audience. And unfortunately, because Chibnall soured his relationship with the audience to the absolute nth degree, there's no emotional impact when you see these things. I remember actually going to the cinema for the 50th. Me and three of my friends could have watched it at home for free, and we all went down to the cinema and paid money to go and watch it. And we got Tom Baker, we got David Tennant, we got John Hurt, we got Billy Piper, we got all this memory stuff from our days of really loving New Who. But it wasn't that these things happened, it's that the story was good. It was daft, it was silly, it had some bits for kids in it, which it should do, it's a kids show, that's the point of it. But it needs to engage your adults as well. And RTD and Steve Moffat at their best can and did do that. So, what can I say about this episode? Apart from, ding dong, the Doctor's dead. Long live the Doctor. I am going to keep watching. I am going to watch the 60th. And I'm really going to give Shooty a try. Because I think he's got the acting chops to really pull this off. But please, for the love of God, do a few things. Go back to basics with storytelling. Find some actors of some character for him to bounce off and to play with. Because if you hire somebody like Mandy Gilligan and Bradley Walsh and John Bishop, you are going to lose people because they can't do the work, can't do the job. They just can't. It needs. Karen Gillan and Arthur Duval were unknowns when they were cast. Billy Piper was a pop star. Catherine Tate. That was one time when a comedian actually worked because she actually took the material seriously. Imagine that. Actors taking the material and the law seriously. In 2022? You must be joking, mate. I must be off my rocker. Time to send me back to the nursing home. But this is what you need. You need simple, engaging storytelling and some enigmatic, interesting actors for your main star to bounce on, to get kids engaged, to get their parents engaged, to really reboot this franchise. BBC, the advertising push you are going to have to put on this is going to be huge. It needs to be humongous. And if the budget for what you've shown us tonight is anything to go by, Christ, you need to triple it. Because most of it look ropey. And yes, I know, old Who and most of Who looks ropey. You need to accept it. But that was when the show had legs. You need to give the viewers a treat for their eyes and something to complement the story that you're trying to tell. And it wouldn't be necessary if you hadn't have killed the franchise. But you've driven all these people away, so you need to bring them back. Anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I really wanted to go into artistic detail here, but I just couldn't. There wasn't enough narrative bones for me to really pick apart this episode and what made it work and what made it fall down. Because I'm just here telling you how it fell down. Because there's nothing really that good for me to talk about. So, where do we go from here? Right. We'll all wait for the 60th. We'll all have a fun time waiting for the 60th. But I hear you cry, Wobbly Geek, where have you been? We've missed your weekly streams of Peaky Blinders and in-depth Matthew film reviews and all the other stuff that you were just getting off the ground. Well, first things first, boys. I had to get an office and look at this office. This is a big thing that my mum and dad helped me build. It's perfect. It's how I wanted it to be. Is it finished? No. Are there lots of stuff that I want to bring to it and add to it? Absolutely. We'll be doing that over time. So this sort of leads me on to where we're going. The Wobbly Geek going forward, because the original plan was for me to do this full time and really build a channel and get regular daily content out for you guys. Because of things happening outside of YouTube, and it's actually really positive, I've gone back to full-time work. Something I never thought would happen again because of my health, but I found a really nice place to be, and I'm able to actually fulfill what I love doing full time. So this, unfortunately, has to be a sort of thing where it's where I can grab a few hours, spend it with you guys, relax, chill, and have some fun. But that doesn't mean that I want the content to now go back down to nothing. That's not where we're going. And if you can see little bits in the wall behind me, there are bits of memorabilia and Sega Mega Drive games. So the plan going forward is I'm going to do all your pop culture video series needs. I really, really want to do House of the Dragon because it's been awesome. Matt Smith, My Doctor, Daemon Targaryen. Just, it's blown me away. Paddy Constantine is amazing. Reese fans. I mean, the whole cast have blown me away. The writing's been phenomenal. So, and this is what I mean about me wanting to enjoy stuff with you guys as well. I don't just want to completely massacre everything that I see. When it's good, I want to say it's good. So that's some of it. I want to start going more into the reviews and to the bits that we were starting here. But then I also want to go back into the gaming space. So what we're going to do as well is we're going to have a live stream on YouTube, or we're going to live stream on Twitch, and it's going to be modern games. Like I'm going to buy the new God of War Ragnarok and live stream that. I'm going to do Football Manager as one, and I'm going to pick stuff up as we go and sort of go through bits and pieces and live stream with you guys and see what sticks and see what we all enjoy playing together. So we're going to do a lot more reviews. We're going to do a lot more interaction stuff, Q&As, all this sort of. I may even go into sort of the older Doctor Who and go through that if that's something that interests people. Let me know in the comments, let me know in the chat exactly what you want to see happen here. But I'm going to try and do a real variety of content for you guys. A, to keep it interesting for you, B, to keep it interesting for me, and just to see if we can get a real sort of momentum going and a real bit of steam. I am going to apologise for being away so long, but obviously, if you can see my office and how it's been transformed, thanks mum and dad. And no, I don't live in a basement with my parents. I'm happily married. This is my house and my office before the trolls start. But I want to get things more regular, but obviously with work commitments and what have you, it's going to be a little bit sort of. I'm going to have to be very careful on how I schedule things. So hopefully I'll get you guys engaged with the new stuff and, see how we go. But House of the Dragon coming absolutely for definitely. I may go back and do Game of Thrones. I may go back and do older Doctor Who. If we really want to go into the memes and bad content, I'm looking at doing She-Hulk. I mean, hold my beer on that one. Where else can we go? We can do Andor, possibly. See, the thing is, I don't particularly want to go so much into meme content unless it's something that you guys really want. I want to do it on stuff that I can praise. And because reviews like this don't really fill me with joy. I want to praise things for being good and being positive about media. And I think we're getting to a stage where it's getting better. But, people just need to listen to what people want. The Black Adam reveal of, Henry Cavill still being Superman, it's what people wanted. Bringing in Hugh Jackman for Deadpool is what people want. Hopefully, people are now listening to us. We're not just cranks on the internet. We're not just these angry fans who want to destroy whatever we're given. No, we want good stuff. End of the day, fandom is at its best when it can go and talk about minute details. I don't like the fact that I've sort of whitewashed over this because there wasn't anything for me to pick on. Fans are at their best when they're picking pieces apart and debating what this means and what that means and how it all fits into the wider lore and really going deep. So that's the sort of positive content that I really want to create going forward. But anyway, guys, this is all stuff for the future. I'm really excited to be back, and hopefully we'll be getting a lot more regular content from me going forward. So hopefully the Wobbly Army can keep coming and growing and appreciating and generally enjoying the stuff that we do. Anyway, Wobbly Geek out. I'll announce the first gaming stream probably sometime in the next week and a half. Hope to see you guys there. See you later.